He stood before the court and asked for death. But this wasn't remorse. It wasn't guilt.
I'm asking you to give me the death sentence.
Lorenzo believed that by demanding the harshest possible punishment, the system would hesitate and show mercy.
I sentence you, Mr. Lorenzo, to death.
Now, Lorenzo is desperately trying to undo it all. What followed became a disturbing story of mind games, courtroom theatrics, and a man whose plan backfired completely. In December 2003, two men, Jason G. and Michael W., vanished after leaving a nightclub in Tampa. Loved ones quickly reported them missing. 17 days later, Michael's body was discovered inside the trunk of his own Jeep, wrapped tightly in a fitted sheet. Jason was never found. Investigators traced both disappearances to a home just minutes from the club, located at 213 West Powhatan. Search warrants revealed chilling evidence: online messages, drugs, photographs, and blood evidence connecting the crimes to Stephen Lorenzo and his associate, Scott Schweikert. Digital chat records showed the two shared intentions to drug and restrain men for sexual purposes. DNA recovered from a gas mask and blood found in Lorenzo's garage matched Jason, with statistical odds so extreme they ruled out coincidence. Photographs recovered from the home depicted Michael's lifeless body inside the residence, images Lorenzo later claimed he could not remember. Schweikert initially denied involvement, but later confessed to his role, admitting to helping kill both men, dismembering Jason, and placing Michael's body in his vehicle. In 2016, Schweikert accepted a plea deal, life in prison without parole, in exchange for full cooperation. During testimony in February 2023, he detailed how he and Lorenzo targeted, drugged, and killed the victims.
You chose to invite Jason Galehouse back to Stephen Lorenzo's house, is that right?
Stephen.
Tell us about what happened.
Well, we went back to Stephen's place. We all stripped down in Steve's bedroom. Jason climbed onto the bed and was shackled to the bed. There were shackles that were already on the bed at the headboard and the footboard in the middle of both.
Take us through the next step. What happened thereafter?
Well, I climbed onto the bed and I was starting to make out with him and playing with his testicles a little bit, slapping them a little bit. He was getting aroused hard. I unfortunately was not, because as I said, it wasn't my type. And I stepped to the bathroom to use the bathroom. I was gone maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I came back. Stephen was sitting basically behind him, had him in a chokehold, and was choking him out. Michael was kicking a little bit. Stephen asked me to come over and hold his legs down. I think he was afraid that he might kick the shackles loose from the footboard or something along those lines. So I went over, I put my arms over his legs to hold him in place, and after about another minute, maybe less, he just stopped moving. Afterwards, I asked him what was that. He said it was a chokehold or something I was wanting to do, choke somebody out.
All right, after Stephen Lorenzo said that's always something he wanted to do, what other discussion?
There wasn't much of a discussion at that point. He immediately went into cleanup mode. He started with the legs, with one leg, cut it at the thigh bone, cutting through. And after he cut one off, he grabbed a trash bag, put that body part in it, tie it off with a zip tie, shove it inside of another trash bag, and tie it off with a zip tie. He said, this way it won't leak. He said, we work so well together, I want to see, if we can do it again. He wanted to go back to 2606 when he tried something that's good. And that's where he met Michael. Stephen wanted to ride with Michael back to the house, so they rode together in Michael's vehicle, and I drove Stephen back behind him.
Okay, you arrived. Where did you go? What did you do? What did Michael Walkowitz do? What did Stephen Lorenzo do?
Well, like I said, we came into the house and I gave him his bathroom. I barely made it to the bathroom, and Stephen's hollering, Scott, come here, I need your help. And I come back into the living room. Stephen is almost kneeling in front of Jason, between his legs, holding his arm, as Michael is trying to get away from him. And I come in and I see this, and I'm like, oh shit. And I jump in and turn my arms around Michael and pull him Steven grabs a rag from somewhere, a can of maximum impact, sprays it on the rag, and holds it over Michael's face until he goes unconscious. At that point, we quickly strip all of his clothing off and leave the rag on his face so that he doesn't become conscious yet. After he's totally completely naked, we throw cuffs on him. At some point, Steven got undressed as well. And then after that, Steven jumped in, rolled him back onto his stomach, and climbed on top of him, and basically straddling his legs, both hands on the back of his upper back, forcing his face into the ground off to the side, and was basically titty fucking his ass cheeks. Dry humping in a sense, I guess. Well, once again, I had checked for a pulse, and then found none. We removed the cuffs. Steven had, once again, grabbed a trash bag, started picking up Michael's belongings. He says, grab a sheet out of that closet there in the hallway, just outside the bathroom. And told me to spread it out there on the floor. So we did, and then we lifted the body out of the tub, laid it on the sheet, wrapped it up in the sheet, and then carried it out to Michael's vehicle.
The body of Michael Walcoats and his vehicle were left abandoned in an apartment complex parking lot a distance away from Steven Lorenzo's house. Is that right?
Yes.
That testimony became central to the case against Lorenzo. For nearly 20 years, he denied responsibility. Then, in December 2022, everything changed. Lorenzo sent the court a 147-page handwritten letter asking to plead guilty and explicitly requesting the maximum punishment, even waiving all appeals. He wrote that the outcome would be the same regardless. He dismissed his defense attorneys, chose to represent himself, and entered a guilty plea in open court. He claimed this choice would allow him a more comfortable existence than life in federal prison.
2 counts, first-degree murder. Mr. Lorenzo, how do you wish to plead to those 2 charges?
Open guilty.
During the penalty phase in February 2023, Lorenzo openly discussed death row, stating he could remain there for over a decade and that it was far more comfortable than the federal prison system. He also shared bizarre spiritual beliefs, explaining that he believed in reincarnation and that being executed sooner would allow him to return in another body.
I'm seeking the death penalty. It's in my best interest, basically, because it's a comfort. I'll be living a lot more comfortable than I would in the federal system, living on death row, believe it or not. And of course, that may sound selfish, but I've lived in a private cell for the last 5 years, and I'm going to have a private cell on death row. At my age, I want to be comfortable. I want my privacy. That's what I want. So that's what I'm doing. It may sound selfish, but that's the way it is. You live for today. You don't live for the past. You live for today. So I'm asking you to give me the death sentence, because that'll be more comfortable for me to live out my lifetime. I know I can be on death row for about 10 to 15 years, which I think is crazy. But as far as I see it, it's just euthanasia. I already have a death sentence. Everybody in this room has a death sentence. So as far as I'm concerned, you're just offering me a euthanasia that I'm looking to do willingly. That's all it really comes down to. And so I'm asking you to do that. So, and I'm going to try to speed up this process so I don't have to wait 15 years, because I got better things to do in my time. The sooner that I get euthanized, as far as I'm concerned, the faster I can get, the sooner I can fetch myself a new body and come back again, a fresh body. That's how I look at it, because that's how it is. That's how it's spiritual work. We're eternal beings. So the way I look at it is, the sooner I euthanize, the sooner I can come back. I've got better things to do with my time than to hang out and spend the next 15, 20 years on death row or in any prison system. So that's what I'm asking for. It's selfish. That's what I want.
Judge Christopher Sabella responded directly, stating he was unsure whether Lorenzo's statements were an attempt at reverse psychology, but made it clear that Lorenzo's preferences would not influence the sentence. The judge then imposed the ultimate punishment by lethal injection.
I don't know if what you say is perhaps some form of reverse psychology, nor do I care. I will not consider what you want in issuing my sentence.
I know that, yes.
All right. In the words of Miss Pam Williams, from one Italian to another, Ti condanno a morte. That translates to, I sentence you, Mr. Lorenzo, to death. That is the punishment that you deserve
Thank you.
for these horrific crimes.
State Attorney Susan Lopez made it clear this case was never about Stephen Lorenzo. She emphasized that justice was about Jason Galehouse and Michael Woltz, and that the maximum sentence was the only appropriate outcome. In June 2025, Florida Supreme Court unanimously upheld Lorenzo's convictions and death sentence, confirming that he knowingly waived legal counsel, pled guilty, and represented himself during sentencing. Despite asking for the harshest punishment, Lorenzo has since begun appealing the sentence, claiming procedural mistakes and excessive punishment. That reversal, fighting the very outcome he demanded, exposes the irony at the heart of the case. His attempt at manipulation failed. Lorenzo rejected traditional remorse, framed himself as spiritually immortal, and believed he could outsmart the justice system. He repeatedly referenced comfort, reincarnation, and mocked the concept of mercy, calling the system childish and flawed. But justice wasn't guided by his theatrics. It was guided by the voices of the victims. Lorenzo believed his emotional detachment and calculated performance would protect him. Instead, the court saw through it and delivered exactly what he asked for. Stephen Lorenzo thought he was untouchable. He entered that courtroom believing he was in control, that manipulation would save him. The judge wasn't fooled. Now he sits on death row, trying to escape the fate he once demanded. He believed he was playing the system, but in the end, the system played him. And here's the real question. Do you think he truly deserved the harshest punishment, or did he succeed in forcing the system into giving him exactly what he wanted? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this case compelling, watch the next video on your screen. Thanks for watching.